Hey, Joelle Castix here, and I think we should have a little talk about sleepovers. Do not fear the sleepover. These are great rites of passage for our kids. But just like anything else, we don't send them out into the big wide world unprepared. So what do we do to prepare our kids to be hard targets of sex predators and also to make sure that they're safe on sleepovers? Number one, communicate. If you haven't started talking to your kid, now's the time to start. You should know who their peer group is. Ask them questions about their friends. Ask them their opinions on things. Make sure you tell them, I'm not questioning you. I'm actually curious about you. I just want to know. Make sure that you tell your kid it's okay to come to me. It's okay to talk to me. It's always safe. Don't fly off the handle when things get tough. And always be there to tell your kid that you love him or her no matter what. Number two, teach your kid to trust their gut. I've worked with thousands of child sex abuse survivors from around the world, and almost every single one of them has said the same thing to me. Joelle, I just knew something was wrong. Teach your child that trusting their gut is a good and powerful thing for them to do. That if something feels weird and feels wrong, it probably is. And if an adult has to convince them or a peer has to convince them that something is okay or cool, it probably isn't. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to trust your gut. Number three, trusted adult. Some people say find 5. I usually say find 3. 3 trusted adults besides you that your child trusts and can go to in case something goes wrong. There may be times where your child is just too scared or uncomfortable to tell you. There may be times they can't get a hold of you on the phone. There may be times they just have to bounce something off of another adult that you both trust. Sit down with your kid and find out who those trusted adults are. Is it an aunt or uncle? Is it a grandparent? Is it a teacher? Is it a neighbor? Find those trusted adults and make sure that that trusted adult knows that they are being brought into a very, very important world and that your child trusts them to tell them things that might be uncomfortable. Number 4, set rules. You don't just push your kid into a new situation in someone's house and say, fend on your own. Set rules. Rule number 1 should always be you go into the house and you meet the parents and you see what the situation is like. Because, I'm constantly amazed at the number of parents who've just dropped their child off at my house to play with my son and didn't come inside, didn't ask more about me, didn't ask who else was going to be there. I mean, granted, I'm the sex abuse prevention education lady, but I could also be an animal hoarder. I could also have open fires in my house. We could have a meth lab. Make sure you go in and check this stuff out. The parents will also appreciate it because it shows that you have care and concern for your child. Tell the parents, hey, I taught my kid to trust their gut. If anything feels wrong, they are more than welcome to call me. Tell the parents, hey, we communicate really, really well. And I hope that if anything happens, that you feel comfortable calling me. Also, make sure you know who is at the house. It might be mom and dad, but also there could be uncles, brothers, step-siblings, cousins, people just stopping by. Set the rules and say, hey, while my child's here, I would prefer that there be no other visitors. And if someone happens to drop by, tell the parents, hey, just call me and let me know. Because I'd rather find out from you than from my kid tomorrow. Finally, relax. You've got this. By the time middle school rolls around, kids are having slumber parties all of the time. But as long as they have the strong basics, as long as they communicate with you, as long as they know the names, the proper anatomical names of all their body parts, as long as you set strong social media rules, make sure your child knows that he or she does not touch anyone else's private parts, and no one touches his or her private parts, and no one takes pictures of anyone without their clothes on. I know it sounds like a very strange thing to say outright, but unless you make these rules solid, how will your kid know otherwise? Don't be surprised if you have a very cranky, non-communicative kid who comes home after a sleepover. Because let's face it, after 2 hours of sleep, you don't want to talk about anything either. But keep the conversation lines open. Ask open-ended questions. Be curious. Be loving. And make your kid a hard target for predators. So that's my tip about slumber parties. Stay tuned. I'll have more and more tips this summer on how to make parenting easier and a little more stress-free. Thanks. Bye.